Maya stretched, feeling the stiffness in her muscles after yet another night of restless sleep. The alarm clock hadn't gone off yet, but she was already awake, ready to face another workday. At 28, she was a woman of average height with soft, wavy brown hair and warm, expressive eyes. Her brown skin bore subtle signs of time and hard work, but her radiant smile could light up any room, making her presence unforgettable. As she got out of bed, Maya glanced out the window of the small apartment she shared with her elderly mother. The sun was just starting to peek over the horizon, painting the sky in shades of pink and orange. A gentle smile spread across her face, a wave of gratitude washing over her for another day to try again. Despite the financial challenges and her exhausting job as a cleaner at a large corporation, Maya held on to her kind and hopeful spirit. While she prepared for work, Maya's thoughts wandered to her past. The only child of hard-working parents, she had left school early to help support her family. Yet, her thirst for knowledge never waned. In her spare time, she immersed herself in books borrowed from the local library and enrolled in free online courses. Her dream was simple yet profound. One day, she hoped to continue her education and perhaps even attend college. Across the city in a grand, opulent mansion, Adrien woke to the relentless beeping of his alarm clock. At 30, he was the heir to a sprawling business empire, but the weight of his family's expectations felt crushing, especially those of his demanding father. Tall and athletic, with neatly styled black hair and thoughtful brown eyes, Adrien was considered one of the most eligible bachelors in town. Sitting on the edge of his oversized bed, Adrien sighed deeply. Despite the luxurious world he lived in, he often felt insecure and out of place. His father, a stern and exacting man, rarely seemed satisfied with anything Adrien accomplished. The pressure to meet those high standards was suffocating. Adrien's thoughts drifted to Ella, his fiancée. Their marriage was more of a strategic alliance between two powerful families than a love story. Though he respected her, Adrien couldn't ignore the nagging feeling that something essential was missing, a deeper, more meaningful connection. As he dressed for another day at the office, Adrien's mind lingered on the business dinner his father had arranged. It was an important opportunity to prove himself, but the thought of the event filled him with dread. Although he held a prominent position in the company, Adrien felt out of sync with the corporate world. He preferred the solace of his private library, where the pressures of life seemed to fade away. At the company, Maya and Adrien often crossed paths. She arrived early every morning, beginning her cleaning routine on the executive floor. Over time, an unlikely friendship blossomed between the cheerful cleaner and the reserved heir. To Maya, Adrien wasn't the young millionaire everyone else saw. She saw beyond the surface, recognizing his insecurities and quiet kindness. Adrien, in turn, found Maya to be a refreshing presence in his otherwise artificial world. Her simplicity and genuine warmth intrigued him and brought a rare sense of comfort. Their brief conversations were always filled with smiles and encouragement, leaving Adrien feeling lighter. On the morning of the important dinner, Maya arrived at the office to find Adrien slumped over a pile of papers, fast asleep. Her heart ached as she noticed the dark circles under his eyes and the tension etched across his face. Quietly, she tidied the scattered documents, leaving a glass of water and an apple within reach before returning to her work. When Adrien finally stirred, disoriented and groggy, the first thing he saw was Maya's gentle smile. "Good morning, Mr. Adrien. Looks like you had a rough night," she said softly, a note of concern in her voice. Adrien rubbed his eyes, feeling a little embarrassed to be caught in such a state. "Maya, I'm sorry for the mess," he said, his voice faltering slightly. "Don't worry about it," she replied with a reassuring smile. "We all have days like this. Just don't forget to take care of yourself, okay?" Her simple, heartfelt words touched Adrien more deeply than he could have imagined. In a life filled with high expectations and hollow interactions, Maya's kindness stood out like a beacon of hope. It was rare for anyone to genuinely care about Adrien's well-being without hidden motives. The day felt heavy, the pressure of the upcoming business dinner a constant weight on his shoulders. When he finally returned home, exhausted and on edge, he found Ella waiting for him, visibly distressed. "Adrien, we need to talk," she said, her voice trembling slightly. His heart sank. Something in her tone made him uneasy. They sat in an elegant living room, the silence between them thick with tension. I can't do this anymore," Ella finally said, avoiding his gaze. "I'm too young, Adrien. I don't think I'm ready for this kind of commitment or the future everyone has mapped out for us." Her words hit him like a punch to the gut. While their relationship had never been deeply passionate, he had grown used to the idea of a future with her. Another piece of his carefully constructed life was crumbling before his eyes. "I understand," he managed to say, his voice calm despite the storm within. "Maybe this is better for both of us." Ella seemed relieved by his response. After a brief exchange of farewells, she left, leaving Adrien alone with his thoughts. That night, sleep eluded him as the weight of the business dinner and the end of his engagement bore down on him. The next morning, Adrien arrived at work looking defeated. His eyes were bloodshot, and his usually confident posture had wilted. Maya, ever observant, noticed immediately. As she cleaned the hallway near his office, she couldn't shake her concern. Summoning her courage, she knocked lightly on the slightly ajar door. "Mr. Adrien, is everything okay?" she asked gently, her voice filled with genuine care. Adrien glanced up from the papers he was pretending to study. Something about Maya's kindness broke through his defenses. Maybe it was exhaustion, or maybe it was her sincerity, but he found himself opening up. "No, Maya, it's not okay," he admitted, his voice trembling. "Ella broke things off last night, and this dinner, I don't know if I can handle it." Maya's heart ached seeing his vulnerability. Without hesitation, she stepped into the office and softly closed the door behind her. "I'm sorry, Mr. Adrien," she said, her tone warm and comforting. "I know it's not much, but I want you to know I'm here if you need someone to talk to or lean on." Adrien looked at her, startled by her sincerity. In that moment, he realized that Maya, a cleaner he had only exchanged brief conversations with, was the closest person to him right now. An idea began to take shape in his mind. "Maya," he started, hesitating, "I know this is an odd request, but would you come with me to the business dinner tomorrow night?" Maya's eyes widened, caught completely off guard. "Me? But why?" Adrien ran a hand through his hair, a nervous gesture she had noticed before. "Because lately, you've been the person I feel most comfortable with. Your presence helps me feel calmer. I think having you there would mean a lot." Maya felt a surge of mixed emotions, flattered by his trust, yet nervous about stepping into a world so different from her own. Seeing the hesitation on her face, Adrien quickly added, "I'm sorry. That was inappropriate. Forget I said anything." "I accept," Maya interrupted, surprising herself. "If you think I can help, I'll be happy to go." Relief washed over Adrien's face, and for the first time that day, a faint smile appeared. "Thank you, Maya. You have no idea how much this means to me." The day of the dinner arrived, bringing a mix of anxiety and excitement. Adrien spent the day meticulously preparing, reviewing documents and rehearsing his responses. A red folder containing all the critical details of the deal stayed by his side like a talisman. Maya, on the other hand, faced her own challenges. After finishing her shift, she rushed home, where her mother helped her prepare. She wore a simple yet elegant emerald green dress, something she had bought on sale years ago but never had the occasion to wear. When Maya arrived at the upscale restaurant, she felt a moment of intimidation as she took in the luxurious surroundings. But the sight of Adrien waiting for her outside, his expression a mix of nervousness and gratitude, quickly put her at ease. "You look beautiful," Adrien said sincerely, offering his arm. Maya blushed, accepting his gesture. "Thank you. You look very sharp yourself." As they walked inside, Maya leaned closer and whispered, "You've got this, my friend. I believe in you." Those simple words had a profound effect on Adrien. With Maya by his side, he felt a wave of confidence, as though he could face any challenge. The dinner started on a positive note. Adrien, bolstered by Maya's quiet support, led the conversations with a poise that surprised even himself. The executives appeared impressed by his vision and ideas for the company. However, as the night progressed and the questions turned more detailed, Adrien began to feel his composure slipping. A moment of tension hung in the air as one of the executives asked a particularly challenging question, and Adrien hesitated. Sensing his discomfort, Maya subtly reached under the table and gave his hand a reassuring squeeze. The silent gesture grounded him, and he answered with newfound clarity and confidence. The executives nodded in approval, and the conversation moved forward smoothly. By the end of the evening, Adrien had not only won over the room, but also found a new sense of self-assurance. As they left the restaurant, he turned to Maya, gratitude shining in his eyes. "I couldn't have done this without you," he said earnestly. Maya smiled, her own confidence bolstered by the evening's success. "You didn't need me, Adrien. You just needed someone to remind you of your own strength." Adrien realized too late that he had forgotten critical details for the deal. Panic rose as he excused himself from the table and headed toward the restroom, trying to gather his thoughts. Maya, always observant, noticed his distress and discreetly followed him. "Adrien," she called softly, finding him in the hallway. "Is everything okay?" He shook his head, the panic clear in his eyes. "I left a red folder with the important documents at the office," he admitted. "Without it, I can't continue." Maya's calm demeanor didn't waver. "Don't worry," she said with a reassuring smile. "I saw you leave the folder behind this morning. I thought it might be important, so I brought it with me. It's in my car." Adrien stared at her, stunned. "You brought it?" She nodded. "I thought you might need it. Wait here, I'll go get it." Adrien watched as Maya hurried toward the parking lot, a wave of gratitude washing over him. Her thoughtfulness had saved him, and she had done it without seeking recognition or praise. Minutes later, Maya returned with the red folder in hand. She handed it to Adrien, her smile warm and encouraging. "Here you go. You have everything you need to handle this. Trust yourself." With the folder in his hands and his heart buoyed by her support, Adrien returned to the table. His confidence was evident as he presented the crucial details with precision. The executives were impressed by his composure and the clarity of his vision. By the end of the evening, the deal was successfully closed, exceeding everyone's expectations. As the executives left, singing Adrien's praises, Maya stood at a distance, a proud smile lighting up her face. She felt content knowing she had played a small but meaningful part in his success. When they were finally alone, Adrien approached her, his emotions shining in his eyes. "I don't know how to thank you," he said, his voice thick with gratitude. "You didn't just save this deal. You showed me something much more important." Maya tilted her head, curious. "And what's that?" Adrien smiled, his expression soft and sincere. "You showed me what true friendship looks like, caring for someone without expecting anything in return." Maya felt tears well up in her eyes. "You're an amazing person, Adrien. All I did was believe in you." In that moment, Adrien felt an overwhelming sense of gratitude for her kindness and friendship. For the first time in a long while, he felt truly seen and supported. The next day, Adrien woke with a lighter heart, as if a heavy cloud had lifted. The dinner had been a success, and despite his recent breakup, he felt a spark of hope for the future. Yet, deep down, there was a subtle emptiness, an undefined longing. When he saw Maya in the lobby later that day, her radiant smile and sparkling eyes filled him with warmth. "Hey!" She greeted him cheerfully. "Thanks again for letting me tag along last night." "Oh, and I have some news. I got a scholarship. I'll be working part-time at another company, but I hope we'll still bump into each other." Adrien smiled, but a tightness gripped his chest. He admired her determination and wished he could express how much her presence had come to mean to him. Instead, he settled for exchanging numbers before parting ways. As the weeks turned into months, their busy lives kept them apart. Yet every so often, they exchanged light-hearted messages. Beneath the surface, though, both sensed feelings they avoided addressing. Time moved on. Adrien worked tirelessly, not only to gain his father's respect, but to prove his own capabilities. Meanwhile, Maya graduated with honors and began chasing her dreams through a new internship. One day, as Adrien walked through the HR department, a familiar voice stopped him in his tracks. His heart raced as he turned toward the sound, spotting Maya speaking animatedly with a group of colleagues. She had landed an internship at his company, in the very field she had always aspired to join. For a moment, Adrien simply observed her from a distance. She radiated the same energy and warmth that had always captivated him. But now, something was different. The burdens of his past, his father's expectations, his failed engagement, no longer weighed him down. He felt free. As he watched her, a comforting warmth filled his chest. It felt like a sign, a silent invitation to start fresh. He approached her, his smile confident yet genuine. "Maya," he began, his voice steady and sure. "I think fate keeps throwing us together for a reason." Maya turned, her eyes lighting up with surprise and joy. "Maybe it does," she replied with a laugh. This time, Adrien wasn't afraid to follow his heart. Together, they were ready to see where this path would lead. Not hurriedly, but with the certainty that they had found something special in each other.